This is BBC World News Today with me, Regid Ahmed. The headlines. Oscar Pistorius learns when he is due to be sentenced over the murder of his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp. The former Olympian removed his prosthetic limbs at his sentencing hearing in an effort to show his vulnerability to the court. Donald Trump suggests tighter gun laws for terror suspects in the wake of the Orlando shootings. Police in Florida say there's now no doubt the 2-year-old boy snatched by an alligator is dead and they're searching for his body. And coming up, as police fire tear gas into crowds of football fans in Lille, we have the latest from the Euro 2016 tournament on and off the field. Former Olympic athlete Oscar Pistorius will be sentenced early next month over the murder of his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp. The double amputee, known as the Blade Runner, faces a minimum of 15 years in prison for shooting Steenkamp at his home in 2013. Today, at his sentencing hearing in Pretoria, he removed his prosthetic legs and hobbled on his stumps as his defence told the court he was a vulnerable man. But Chief Prosecutor Harry Nell fired back, saying pity will play no role in the sentence. Our correspondent Karen Allen reports. The FBI has appealed for more information about Omar Mateen, the gunman who opened fire in a Florida nightclub at the weekend, killing 49 people. Speaking in Orlando within the past hour, FBI Special Agent Ron Hopper urged anyone who came in contact with the gunman to get in touch. Special Agent Ron Hopper, while speaking at the same press conference, US Attorney Lee Bentley said it was too early to speculate about whether any charges would be brought over the mass shooting. The wife of Omar Mateen has been questioned by police. Noor Salman is reported to have told officers that she tried to talk her husband out of the attack. Donald Trump, the presumptive Republican nominee, says people on terror watch lists should be prevented from buying guns in the wake of the Orlando mass shooting. In a tweet, he says he'll meet the National Rifle Association about not allowing people on the terror watch list or the no-fly list to buy guns. It's a softening of Mr. Trump's position after he told an NRA convention last month that he would protect the constitutional right to bear arms. Well, the BBC's Michelle Fleury is in Orlando live for us. Michelle, what did you make of that press conference that we just heard?
Well, I think people have been speculating, asking lots of questions about how the investigation is proceeding, whether they have uncovered any new leads, and of course speculation about what role did the wife of Omar Mateen play in this. She said she knew that he had a desire for a sort of a jihadist intention, but she didn't know what exactly he might do. All of this still being explored. Now, the press conference is just still going on behind me, but the FBI have asked for more time, for patience from everybody, so that they can continue to carry out what they described as a methodical investigation. I mean, earlier this week I was speaking to the mayor of Orlando, and he said that at some point, as part of the process of these things, they would want to try and recreate the crime scene as it happened, the crime as it played out. That is, it gives you a sort of idea of the fact that this will take a lot of time, and so that's why we didn't learn too much in terms of the investigation, and we were once again asked for patience and to think of the families.
Michelle, the press conference also talked about incidents against the Muslim community, and they were very firm on that. It does sound like a very difficult time for Muslims in Orlando and in the United States.
Well, I think it obviously, if you think about the initial reaction to the attack, there was a focus on whether or not this was an act of terror linked to IS. In the days since then, the the focus has shifted slightly, and there's been more talk about this also being a hate crime and an act against the gay community, an act against the Hispanic community. So a lot of emotions thrown up, a lot of questions raised by this, concerns amongst the Muslim community, but also amongst the Hispanic and gay community here. And what's been amazing to see, certainly at all the vigils, and there are more planned for this evening, is the attempt to try and unite after what is a very difficult time.
Michelle, can you tell us a bit more about what we're hearing from Donald Trump on gun control? Because he had some interesting things to say today that perhaps was a little bit different to his stances in the past.
Well, it's interesting in particular because he is backed, or he has got the endorsement of the NRA, the National Rifle Association here in America, and he's coming out and saying that he wants to try and push for some changes to the law, particularly when it comes to terrorists, those who might be on the US no-fly list, to see that those people on that list possibly can't have access to arms. It's a bit of a shift. It will certainly give a pause for the GOP party, for the Republican Party here, who typically are not necessarily always who support the right to bear arms. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the Republican Party respond to Donald Trump's suggestion. He, of course, has said that he intends to meet with the NRA later this week.
Michelle Fleury, thank you very much for your time. Michelle Fleury in Orlando there. 2 Russian gay men have been arrested in Moscow after trying to leave a message over the Orlando shooting outside the US Embassy. The pair were held for 3 hours after being detained as they tried to place a handwritten banner reading "Love Wins" at a makeshift memorial for the victims. Following their release, they said police accused them of breaking Russian protest laws. Police in Florida are continuing to search for the body of a 2-year-old boy who was snatched by an alligator at a hotel near Disney World in Orlando. The child was paddling in a lagoon when he was dragged into the water. Alim Maqbool reports. Britain's Chancellor George Osborne has said that there would be public spending cuts and tax rises if the UK votes to leave the European Union next week. Mr Osborne said that an emergency budget would be needed to tackle a £30 billion black hole in the nation's finances. The claim has been rejected by those campaigning for Britain to leave the EU. Our political editor Laura Kunsberg reports. Police in Germany say a number of workers have been killed after scaffolding collapsed on a motorway bridge which was under construction in the south of the country. Several people are believed to be buried under rubble. Well, let's get more on this from our Berlin correspondent Jenny Hill. Jenny, what more can you tell us?
Well, the police have now said that at least 1 person has been killed and a number of others injured, 6 of them seriously after this motorway bridge collapsed. It's perhaps a little difficult to imagine. This bridge was under construction. It's a brand new bridge designed to actually carry a motorway, so a huge construction site. The bridge itself 20 metres high. Something like 20 workers, we're told, were actually on the construction site when a section of that bridge actually collapsed, taking with it the scaffolding which was attached to it and some of the workers. You can imagine the pictures emerging from the scene, a pretty chaotic, tangled metal, concrete lying on the ground, about 150 emergency service workers there. At the moment, there are police dog teams there too, and that's because it's not yet clear how many, if anyone, is actually trapped underneath that rubble. So a very chaotic scene at the moment. There is some confusion too about how many people may have died. Police are now saying at least 1 person, but the Bavarian Interior Ministry has this afternoon said at least 2. So we're expecting the confusion to die down over the next few hours, but certainly for the time being, emergency workers are combing that site, hoping to find anyone who's still trapped underneath that rubble.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Jenny Hill there, our Berlin correspondent. An alliance of opposition forces in Syria is on the verge of taking back control of a key city from the so-called Islamic State group. A combined force of Kurdish, Arab and Turkmen fighters backed by US air support, have encircled Manbij in the north of Syria. The town is a crucial staging post on the group's supply lines between the Turkish border and its headquarters in Raqqa. Our correspondent Gia Gol and producer Joe Inwood are the only international broadcasters to have gained access to this area. This is their exclusive report. Well, we just want to bring you some breaking news. The World Anti-Doping Agency says more than 700 attempts to carry out drug tests in Russia have been obstructed. Now, this is a damning report issued 2 days before the key decision on whether Russian athletes will be allowed to take part in the Rio Olympic Games. WADA says 736 tests between February and May were declined or cancelled. Its report said testers had been intimidated by the FSB security services, and packages containing samples had been tampered with, and athletes had provided false information on their whereabouts or avoided drug testers at competitions. We'll bring you more on this story as we get it. French police have fired tear gas at England football fans in the city of Lille. Thousands of extra police had been drafted in after clashes between Russian, English and French fans in Marseille. Russia lost 2-1 to Slovakia in Lille today. England is playing Wales in nearby Lens on Thursday. The BBC's Danny Savage is in the centre of Lille. After violence in the stands at the end of the football game between Russia and England on Saturday, UEFA said it would disqualify Russia from Euro 2016 if there were further crowd disturbances. That's not gone down well back in Russia, where many people believe their country has been treated unfairly. Steve Rosenberg talked to football fans in Moscow. Well, that's all from the program, but from me and the rest of the team, see you soon.